Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Heidi McIndoe, and I am a registered dietitian. Today, we are talking about how to create your own culinary garden. And there we go. That's what I just said. So as a registered dietitian, I help people eat healthier, which not only means getting all the nutrients they need, but also making sure that food is delicious and you're enjoying it, and it's a happy, rewarding part of your day. And for me, gardening is one of those things as well. So the fact that we can combine gardening and nutrition and what you eat is just, I think it's fabulous. So why should we garden? So it is fun, like I said, for a lot of people. It's great. I think it's a great way to get outside, have a reason to get outside. It's really easy to, when you don't have a specific reason to get outside, it's really easy for a lot of us to just hibernate inside. It's too hot, it's too cold, it's too wet, whatever. But when you have a garden out there that you need to take care of, it's a great motivator, gives you something to do. Uh, it's also a great way to really have the freshest foods, access to that fresh food, uh, from the summer all year long. Because not only can you grow your own food, you can preserve your own food. So that's great. It's pretty easy, I think. It can be extremely complex and expensive and complicated, but we are going to talk about what we can do to make it very simple and not really expensive. Like I said, it's like most things, you get out of it what you put into it, and you can choose how elaborate or simple you want the process to be. Some easy plants to grow if you're not used to growing. Herbs are always very, very easy. Pretty much plant and water and go grow. Basil, chives, parsley, oregano, mint. Mint, it'll grow, it's tough to kill mint, actually. I bought some chocolate mint years ago just because I loved the idea of it. I don't even like to cook with mint, but I loved the chocolate mint, and it is just every year popping up in my garden. If you're looking for vegetables, tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, lettuce, green onion, these are all really easy things to grow as well. So we can get a variety. Uh, so what do we need if we are going to be growing that culinary garden? So either a little small shovel or a trowel of some sort. Again, this is as big and elaborate as you want it. I'm today focusing on, the smaller end of this. But if you want a whole garden bed, then you're going to need a bigger, bigger shovel. You need some source of water, whether that is a hose, whether that is if you have a rain barrel that collects rainwater, something like that. You will need potting soil. You can't just use the dirt from your garden. Oh, we got a comment. I love comments. I found that grape cherry tomatoes are easier to grow in small spaces. Yeah, those are awesome because you can put them in a little pot and you got little cherry tomatoes all over the place. So thank you for that. Um, Potting soil is a special soil, different than just the dirt in your yard. First of all, it is lighter. It has something called vermiculite mixed into it, which makes the soil not as solid and compact as the dirt, say, that we're getting in our backyard or front yard, wherever it might be. And that's important because as we're growing these seedlings, their roots are very, very small and delicate. I mean, almost thread-like, and they're not going to be able to dig their way through that solid packed dirt slash mud from your yard. So we want to make sure that we have this nice light soil. Potting soil is also clean. We're not saying that people's yards are dirty, but you don't know what's out there between animals and everything else. We certainly don't want to be inviting any, bacteria or fungus or things like that into where we're planting what we're going to be eating. And potting soil has nutrients that plants need. So we definitely want to get that. Don't just dig a hole in your backyard. We need containers or yard space. So if you are looking at containers, we want pots that have drainage holes because we don't want one thing, we know we want to water plants, but we don't want to waterlog plants. We don't want to pour dirt or pour water, sorry, into the pot and have nowhere for that excess water to go. And it just makes this soggy, muddy mess. And there are certain plants that too much water, if their roots are just soaking in water, it's really not healthy for them. They're not going to grow well. So drain holes are good. If you are planting in the yard, you want a nice sunny area because these little plants need sun. All right, so whether we're digging or we are planting um, in a pot, so we're going to get to the planting. Obviously, my first part was talking about what you need. Now we're moving on to planting. So if you are planting in a container, like I said, you want some ability to drain. Ideally, it is a pot that has a hole in the bottom that has a little like saucer underneath to catch excess fluid. That's the easiest thing to do. Option two is if you have a container that does not have a hole in the bottom, you can line it with, these are like baby, like fish tank rocks basically, and put a coffee filter on it. That's going to let the water basically drain into those rocks. And the coffee filter will help keep it from puddling. It's going to absorb some of that water on the top so your roots aren't sitting in puddles of water. Another option that I like is I have taken, broken clay pot pieces. Um, I've taken the small little yogurt containers or the applesauce or fruit cups that kids eat, washed and cleaned those well, put them upside down in a pot. And and then I poke holes in them. And that just allows for, well, backwards for one moment. The broken clay pieces you just put in there and it just makes little uh, crevices and areas for the excess water to go into. Then we're putting the dirt on top. If you are using the yogurt or the applesauce or fruit cup containers, pop a couple holes with a, screwdriver or something in the top, put them upside down in the bottom of your pot, and the excess water can drain through those holes and stay more under there versus just, again, keeping the dirt very soggy, which isn't good for the roots. If you are digging a hole, if you're planting in the yard, you want to dig a hole. So say you're transplanting something, you want to dig a hole that's slightly bigger around and deeper than the root ball or the, pile of dirt that your plant is in from the pot. Slightly bigger than that. So you can just put your plant in there after you take it out of the pot and then fill that rest of that hole with that potting soil to get the nutrients and the cleanliness and things like that and the lighter texture. I would honestly, actually, what I recommend is first put a layer of that potting soil underneath in the bottom of the hole before you put your plant itself in the hole so that those roots can have a way to start digging in there. All right, next phase of planting is the planting itself. So here you can see in the middle picture, we're putting that root ball. It's not really a root ball, but it's what you're getting out of the pot that the plant is in. We're putting it in that hole. We want it roughly even with the soil level. So that's why we dig a hole a little bit deeper. We put some potting soil in there. We put the plant in there, and then we fill the rest of the hole with potting soil. Picture one is a lot of times when we're taking these plants out of pots, they have outgrown their pot and the roots start to go sort of around, they have nowhere to go, so they start to sort of circle the pot. What you want to do before you plant those is cut those roots. It's not going to, and I'm not saying cut them in a million pieces, put a couple of gashes in them, pull them apart. This person's just got some garden shears. They're going to probably put a cut here, maybe, three other around the root system. It's basically giving those roots the ability to grow more. It's uh, to get them out of that circle. It's cutting them open. And what roots will do is they will start to grow at that cut point, and now they're expanding into that new soil, into that new area. And this is going to allow the plant to continue to grow. and then we want to water it. In most cases, we want to water. I always say, water it as soon as you plant it. These plants, it's like a shock to be taken out of their nice comfy pot and put somewhere else. So we want to make sure we water it because it needs all of those nutrients that it gets from water and everything else to deal with this shock. So we want to make sure that we are watering it, and then we want to water it consistently. I'm in New England right now. We're pretty much getting rain every single weekend since March. So my weekends haven't been spent watering plants much, but these weekdays I water. Ideally, you're watering ideally, I think the best time to water is in the morning and sort of, give a heavy dose so the soil's wet, not flooded, but wet. This is for plants outside. But that way, if you have given it too much water over the course of the day, it's allowed the roots can absorb it, it can spread into the soil and dry out a little bit from the sun, versus if you water at night, at dusk when it's going to be dark, that excess water may not evaporate as easily, or, have the ability to um, again, the excess water, if you gave it any, won't have that ability, and it'll just waterlog the plant. If you are watering in a pot, what you want to do is you again, it's got that place to take care of any excess water, the drainage or whatever. You want to just water it. I like to water it until a little bit of water is just popping out of the drain holes. And that way I know the water went all the way through. Um, and it has what it needs. I don't want water pouring over the top of the pot. I don't want my pot sitting in a couple of inches of water. That means I put in too much. I just want to slowly water so it's consistently slightly damp. It shouldn't be dry, and it shouldn't be super, super muddy. It should just have a slight dampness to it. All right, so some of the tips if you want to create these strong and healthy plants, we need light. So plants need 6 to 8 hours of bright light during the day. So think about that. This is especially important to think of when you are planting in the soil, because you can't move the sun around too much. Uh, Too much. You can't move the sun around at all. So if you are planting in the ground, uh, you need to make sure that the plant is going to get ideally morning, early afternoon sun, but 6 to 8 hours of sun a day. So before you start planting, uh, you want to sort of, check out your yard a little, see where is the sun shining the most. I unfortunately have a front yard with a huge maple tree, which I love, but I have a hard time planting things under it. I have to look for certain plants that do well in shade, which culinary plants, fruits, vegetables, herbs, they like their sun. So those have to go elsewhere in my yard. So make sure there is light. If you are planting in pots, alternatively, you can always move the pot around. So if there's morning sun here, put the plant there. If there's afternoon sun here, maybe move it over there if there's not enough long time sun in one area. So I see we have a question. Will watering plants too early in the day burn the plants? Nope, that's actually a myth. It's basically the idea was that the water droplets would act like a magnifying glass and possibly burn the leaves. But one thing is they don't focus, just water droplets don't focus light as much like a magnifying glass does. So it's not going to create that pinpoint burn mark. Also, if there is light out, then that water will evaporate pretty quickly. So you're more likely to risk damaging the plant by not watering when you should, instead of watering in the morning. So yeah, so that's not a problem at all. But you do want, like I said, you could do later in the afternoon. So I guess I want to say the worst time to water your plants is middle of the day when the sun is at its peak and its hottest. Because remember, I was talking about you do want some of that excess water to be able to evaporate so you don't overwater the plant. You are very welcome. The problem with watering in the peak of the sun is that the water evaporates so quickly that the plant doesn't really get much. So again, if you can water, ideally water in the morning. Uh, the second best would be late afternoon. But yeah, you don't want to do it in the when it's dark, after the sun sets or at dusk, or if possible, not during the day. Again, bottom line is you have to do it when it fits for your schedule. And if that's middle of the day, then maybe do a quick water middle of the day, and maybe somebody else can help you out, or maybe you can do a quick water, twice a day kind of thing, and just to get, if you don't have time to water something extensively, maybe you can do a quick water in the morning, quick water in the afternoon. I don't know. I'm just trying to help make that work. Space. You don't want to overcrowd plants. So especially when they're little, it's really easy to say, oh, I want, this bunch of tomatoes all in this area. Or you get a little tomato sapling and it's so small, or seedling, and let me just put four in this pot. This perfect. But they're going to get bigger. Trust me, they're going to get bigger, and they are going to be fighting for water, for nutrients, and none of them will end up growing well. Or maybe one's going to be a bully and he's going to grow well and the rest won't. So you want to make sure that um, space things out far enough. 2 feet tall grape tomato plants. That's awesome. Yeah, so yeah, they need space. They're not going to stay those tiny little, 6-inch things. Uh, and I always find it hard, especially if you do go to the nursery and you get the tomatoes, they come in like the 6 packs. I don't always want 6 packs of tomatoes, but that's how they come. And then I plant them all, and then I feel bad that I have to get rid of some as I'm spacing them out. So I try to space them out right when I plant them. Then I can just give away the tomatoes and not have to worry about, oh, this little guy, he didn't grow well. Let me get rid of this plant. I don't like getting rid of them. I feel bad. uh, and then watering. So we sort of talked about that. Yeah, regular slow watering is great. Again, you don't want the hose on super blast, wash the wash the deck power washer kind of water. I like to use it. My hose has I think it's called spray, or I don't know, they have these 8 million settings. Uh, Sort of like a little more extreme version of just the way water comes out of a watering can. That's what I like to use. And that way, uh, it um, it gives it the water without being too harsh. Question from Seed: will a mister work better? Possibly, yes. So either a mister, or if like I know for me in my house, I have a much smaller watering can. And so I can use that, and it doesn't come out in a big spray. It just has one of those little narrow, what is that, spout. So that's helpful too. But the thing with the mister, you do want to make sure that you're still getting the soil wet. I know a lot of people tend to water plants, and even my husband does it to this day. He'll water my plants and he'll actually water the plant, the flower, but not the dirt. The dirt is what needs the water. Not saying that, the whole plant isn't going to benefit from water, but you need those roots to get the water. So you just want to make sure, if you are using a mister for the delicate little seedlings, then yeah, miss the soil. Yeah, yep. So yeah, mister is great. Just a little spray bottle you can get from, you know, Home Goods, or not Home Goods. I was thinking Home Depot, or, craft store, or, grocery store, wherever. Let's see. Oh my gosh, that was a fast. Oh, I talked so fast. All right, so we have got plenty of time. Um, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fast forward to this slide here in case anybody needs to jump off. This is a QR code, so you can take a survey and let us know how you like this. But I am going to stay on and answer some questions. So what are your thoughts on bottom watering? You know what? To be honest with you, I don't know much about it. I would, I would say I think it can be beneficial, but I feel like the how do I say this? Um the plant and the whatever it's in have to be set up so that the plant will actually get the water unless you have a like so tell me what you know about bottom watering because my plants and my pots would not, that would not work for them. The roots, the water is never going to get to those roots because of just the setup of the plant. Once the water comes out of that hole at the bottom, it's in the saucer to evaporate and it doesn't, there's not enough, I guess I should say, there's not enough root or dirt exposure from the bottom of the plant to soak up that water. So I would say that I would rather, you know what else I have too? I do have, in some of my indoor plants, some of them are just water bottles, but I also have this little plastic bird. And the water bottles, I bought these years ago from like a gardening place. There are these clay tubes that fit a water bottle. And so you fill the water bottle and you put it upside down on this clay tube, for better lack of a better word. The clay tube gets wet and gradually the dirt around it absorbs that water. And so it's a great way to slowly water plants. I just filled mine. I'm looking at one right now. I just filled it 2 days ago, I think, and the it's just a small, like, it's not even a liter bottle. Um, and it's like halfway empty. So it slowly waters it. All right. If my plant pot has a hole in the bottom, I sometimes put it in. Oh, yes. Okay. Okay. So I get what you're saying. So I do this occasionally. So I don't know if everybody can see the chat. If my plant pot has a hole in the bottom, I sometimes put it in a bucket of water and let it soak up as much water as I can. And then I remove it from the bucket. Definitely don't want to waterlog the roots, but make sure the roots are getting wet. So yes. Okay. So when I do that, I do like that idea. Sorry, that's not what I was thinking. So I have one plant in particular that it's just the cutest little thing, but it just dries out really easily. So when I have a plant that I can't water super consistently, I do that. I take the pot, it's a small pot, and yeah, I set it in yeah, same thing, a bowl full of water, because that way the plant can absorb that water because there is a hole in the bottom. So it's not like it's just sitting there in whatever water drained out. It's that it's sitting in an entire, it's the hole and the soil are covered in water. So they'll absorb a little bit as they need it. But then, yeah, then you take it out. And what I do is then I take it out and I put it in an empty bowl in case there was any excess water that got into it to let it drain out a little bit. But that's a great way to really uh, give the roots a good soaking. It looks like people have done this for African violets and orchid. So yeah, sorry. I totally misunderstood what you're saying, but I do like that because it's a great way. Because one of the issues too, say you do have a plant that, again, maybe you're not doing the best at watering, maybe you were away, something happened, it got a little dried out. What happens when the soil gets too dry, when you when you water it, water just has a tendency to um uh, the dirt, if the dirt is so dry, it doesn't hold on to that water. It just sort of flows right out. And it can really uh, make it difficult for those roots to get water. So this is sort of a way to almost flood the plant, really get that soil as moist as it needs to be so that now it can absorb water. It can hold on to that water, if that makes any sense. Um, and like I said, because you're not leaving it there indefinitely, you're taking it out and letting it drain. It's just going to keep that soil moist. So yeah, so like I said, if you ever see a plant that's super dried out, see what happens when you pour, a half a cup or so of water in it. Most of it, again, as long as the pot has holes in it, most of that water is probably just going to run right out because that dry soil just doesn't hold onto the water like the wet does. It just think of it. Wet soil is very thick and sort of dense, Whereas dry soil, it's got all that air pockets in it. Maybe you don't, not huge air pockets where you can see it, but it's not plumped up, I guess. So it's not going to hold on to that. Somebody says I came a few minutes late. Yeah, sorry, we did the herbs at the beginning, but this is being recorded. So, and I know we've only got like 5 minutes left, but there was lots of different tips about that. So hopefully you can catch the recording. Oh, how can you save an orchid? I've never grown an orchid. I don't know if anybody else has any tips. I am happy if you type them in, I will read them. That is one thing I've never grown. I have some indoor plants. I have some herbs. I've grown tomatoes and cucumbers and green beans and peppers, but not orchids. So I apologize that I can't help you with that one. Um, Okay, there we go. There's a tip. My grandmother just keeps watering with a couple of ice cubes once a week, and they always eventually come back. All right, well, that's worth a try. Ice cubes are cheap. Yeah, ice cubes are a great option too. Again, similar to that bottom watering, like we were talking. It's a great way if you have some dry soil. Putting the ice cubes there will let that water gradually seep in. It's actually the same idea as what I have with the water bottles and the um, clay spigots, spouts, I don't know, tubes, whatever you want to call them. It's just a slow, gradual watering uh, routine. Then somebody else says, lots of patience. Sometimes they seem dead, but they aren't. I've had mine for 6 years. As long as the leaves are green, there is hope to come back. All right. So, yeah, just keep plugging away. Make sure you hydrate, but not too much, and do it gradually, it looks like. So good luck. Yeah, it's always worth. I have got a plan. So my son graduates. I think I said he graduates. No, I was teaching another class earlier. My son graduates high school this Friday. I am looking at a plant right now that I got when he was born, and it is just a plant that just keeps on going. I don't know how many times I have pulled off dead leaves and thought, yep, okay, this is finally the end. But no, it is just 17 and a half years later. It is plugging away. Um, You've had a cactus for 45 years. Oh, or you have one that's 45 years old. Wow, that's crazy. That's awesome. All right. But any other questions? I love all this interaction. This is great, some great helpful sharing information. Thanks everybody for helping with the orchid, and good luck to you with that. Um, and yeah, so thank you guys very much. Like I said, if you want to, if you get a chance, take that survey, let everybody know what you thought of the class. And I hope you have a great rest of your, what is it, Wednesday? Great rest of your Wednesday, great rest of your week. Go to your local nursery, get a couple herb, or your grocery store even, get a couple herbs, a couple veggies. Like I said, so apparently cherry tomatoes, those are the good ones to grow, and uh, and give it a whirl. So if nothing else, you'll feed some of the bunnies in the yard.